I've got the slow season blues, baby. Da-na-na-na, no customers coming in. I got the slow season blues, baby. Da-na-na-na-na, and there's no customers coming in. I got slow season blues, baby, and all the money is pouring away. I got to change that one too. But when I see a tourist and some luggage, I get all excited. I can't help myself. Da-na-na-na-na. Okay, that's kind of like a blues song, I guess. This is Jim the Keys, Bartender. I just wanted to open up with something different. And I think we're in the midst of slow season. It just seems like that. Last night, we sent somebody home. We've had a little rush of people right around 8:30. But that's the way it is. We're tropical storm season. You got all this activity in the Caribbean basin. So people are thinking, well, why chance it? There could be a hurricane. Well, yeah, there could be. But, right now there doesn't seem to be any. But it is. We are getting a significant amount of precipitation. We are. And the roads are empty and you can get the prices. Oh, I did mention last week we were going down. Earlier this week we were down in Abby and I were in Key West, and we had a great time. The prices had dropped. Heard me mention before that the lodging prices were outrageous, but they turned on a dime, I guess, when reservations opened up and there weren't a lot of people. So there's some good deals to be gotten. Up until, I guess, Fantasy Fest. Fantasy Fest is another one. It's going to cost like $3,000 for 5 days or something like that. Maybe more. That'd be pretty cheap, actually. So, Fantasy Fest down here. If you're not familiar with the Keys, Fantasy Fest is right around Halloween. And the first, it's one weekend before Halloween, and they have parades and all these things, and people get all dressed up. And one night, it's almost all body paint, so a lot of naked people. And there's some nice naked people down there, some nice looking women and men. I'm sure there's some guys. I don't really check them out as much, but they're really good looking, and there's some not so. But they're free. They're free to, when I say not so, I shouldn't say that. I'm not, no body shaming here. But there's some people that like to get naked you don't think traditionally like getting naked about. When we were down, Abby and I were down this past weekend, and I call it weekend, it was Monday and Tuesday, but Monday night we're out and about. We had just eaten. We're going around, and Abby started talking about going to the Garden of Eden. And the Garden of Eden is the third floor of the Bull. It's a bar on Duval Street. Second floor is the Whistler Inn or something like that. And the third one's the Garden of Eden. And the Garden of Eden is clothing optional. And in the daytime, if you go there, there's people that come up and they do a little nude sunbathing on the deck and have a couple drinks, and just one of those things. And Abby says, let's go. Now, I have this feeling when I go into a clothing optional place, if I'm wearing clothes, then I'm a voyeur. And if I'm not wearing clothes, I'm a participant. And I don't want to be a voyeur. But I didn't really want to do that. I wasn't in the mood. But I've been taking care of myself, so I didn't feel so bad. But I didn't go, and it's a whole, you got all this clothes on. I mean, you got my wallet, you got my shoes, you got shirt, belt, phone, and I have to take it off, and I don't know, they may have lockers there or something like that. I'm really not comfortable with that, putting my clothes in a locker, in case, there's a fire drill or something going on. I don't really want to go on the street. But then again, if there is, I would, and it's kind of funny if I did. But we went up. Suffice it to say, we went up there with our clothes on. I'm thinking, I'm just doing this to make Abby happy. And we go up there, and Abby should have taken her clothes off, but she didn't take her clothes off either. And we arrive up, and people see us coming up up the steps, and there we are. And there's nobody naked, which is great. I'm not a voyeur, but I look like a voyeur, someone that's hoping to be a voyeur, because we looked around. We didn't get a drink because everyone's wearing clothes. And if they weren't wearing clothes, if everyone wasn't wearing clothes, I probably would have done the same. I would have turned around and walked down. There was no option. Otherwise, I would have just stripped down or something like that. But that was my experience. Next time I go there, I'll make sure I strip down. But that'll be my thing that encouraged me to work out. That'll be my incentive to keep on working out. I always incentive. It's not beach body anymore. It's just not looking horrible while you're naked. And I guess it helps if you're slightly excited, because you want to walk around with half. I don't want to go into details about it for guys, but you don't want to be going in there looking like a scared turtle, or a certain part of your body looking like a scared turtle. So we covered the stupid blues song that I did, which I wrote. You could tell. It's not perfect. And then we talked about being naked and stuff like that. But I went and I mentioned that there were slow season blues, and you may recall that there was consternation originally. So many people were down here. And it's a pain in the ass living in a tourist town. There's dual conflicting sentiments. One is it's a pain in the ass when the roads are busy and all this stuff, and you go to a grocery store and there's tons of people in the grocery store and all this shit. But then you go to work and there's a ton of people in there and you make money. And when there's nobody around, there's nobody in the grocery store, blah, 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 and then you don't have any money really to spend a lot. So it's either a dearth or a lack of, or too many. There's a happy medium. We were very fortunate since the Keys opened back in May of 2020. It was May 2020, right? Yeah. Am I saying that right? May 2020? Yeah, May 2020 when we opened up. We were pretty busy the whole time. We went right through. We had a little dip in the fall. That was it. Kids were still doing their classes remotely, so it didn't really matter where they were. So we had people going on vacation. I never really understood when we were Monday and Tuesday, we're down in Key West. Yeah, there are things for kids to do. There's water sports and all that. But Key West is, and like New Orleans or Las Vegas, is more of a adult playground. Right? It's more of an adult. There are things to do. Yes, there are. But Duval Street is almost all debauchery. It's food, drink, strip clubs, the entertainment we got. Not that it's not for the family, but the cross-dressers and all that stuff. It's great. It's a great time. But I never really, when you see a family come in we saw one of them when we were having lunch. Just one in particular we had an opportunity to look at, but there's a whole bunch of them with 4 kids, all under the age of 11, going from like 3 to 10, 4 of them. And you go, what the fuck's that all about? The parents are drinking, stuff like that. And, and at night, what are you going to do with the kids then? Right? And they didn't look like the kind of people that brought the grandparents along and say, hey, you're going to stay home with the kids. We're going to go out and drink. Because that's what there is to do at night. You go to Mallory Square, watch the stuff, walk around a little, get some candy. And then there's drunk people all over the place, which I don't know if you necessarily want to do that. I know I may be pissing off some of the people down in Key West, but I'm not trying to. I'm saying it's more of an adult playground. So, and there wasn't a lot of people there. It was at like 25% capacity, maybe 25%. Because there are some bars you walk into and there's maybe 8 people We walked into Captain Tony's, and I was going to ask to get a drink for Abby and see if they had any 0% beer. And we waited like 3-4 minutes, and the guy did not even turn around and look at us. There was only 4 people. Other than Abby and I, there were 4 people at the bar. 2 of them had drinks. 2 women, older women, and they're waving money at the guy. And there were 2 other people, and the guy doesn't even turn around. It was Monday. Was it Monday night? Monday afternoon? Young fella. And we just sat there, and I go, oh, well, we could, if we want to be ignored, we don't have to be sitting here. We can just walk down the street and be ignored. And that I really don't understand that, where people don't acknowledge you. Just say, hey, when you walk in, hey, I'll be right with you. I'm busy. But this guy wasn't busy. I mean, he could have been busy with something, busy doing nothing, but that was it. It sounds like I'm complaining. I wasn't. Because, I mean, if someone doesn't want me to part with my money, I'm happy to accommodate them. If I don't have to tip you by you not providing any service, that's perfectly fine with me. I will not begrudge. I will not insult you with me giving you money, because obviously you don't need any. So, the business being what it is, we have Friday night rolling around. We get people calling and say, hey, is there any live entertainment? Like, yeah. This time of year, you're lucky. Live entertainment, there's virtually no one around. And you said, well, if you had live entertainment, yeah, they'll just miraculously appear. If you have somebody playing a banjo and someone playing a washboard, there'll just be like 50 people show up and they'll spend tons of money. Chances are you don't make the difference in what you pay the person. You know? Because if people want to eat and drink, they're going to go and do that. So we're ready for that. Recently, you heard my travails with over the past year and a half. I'm fortunate enough to be able to lose weight. I'm not gloating. I had my surgery and I was losing weight during that. During COVID, everyone has, some people got in great shape during COVID. I am a gym rat. I like going to the gym. I originally, when I came down here, I did a lot. I would run, do calisthenics and stuff like that, and that kept me in shape. That was like 15 years ago. But then in the intervening years, I was going to the gym, and sometimes, depending on what incentivized me to go to the gym, originally I went to the gym to make myself as presentable and attractive to the opposite sex. Just trying to put a silk hat on a pig. That's what they call it. You can't put a silk hat. Yes, you can put a silk hat on a pig. Sometimes a pig looks good in a silk hat, sometimes not. So me being fit is better for me than me looking unfit. That's the way it was looking. And then when I got together, obviously when you're in a committed relationship, you think, well, why am I doing it now? Well, with the illness, it reminded me, I said, I better be healthy. And eventually, there's all these things because I have, had that thing removed. And I said, if my body's healthy, then I'm able to withstand any of the things you really can't control. Like COVID. There's a lot of people that are obese. They really took a toll on people that are overweight. COVID. Most of the people that died, and a lot of people were in, no body shaming here, but they were in less, I'd say below mediocre shape. So I've been committed watching what I eat. Today I ate some burger and some sweet potato and no bread. So trying to eat lean, trying to build up the remaining muscle, not lose as much muscle, and try to lose the fat and do all those things. So when I'm at work, every so often there's someone that comes in that hasn't been in for a couple months, and I'll get one thing or the other. I get a comment and say, hey man, you're looking good. You're losing a lot of weight, blah, blah, blah. You're working out a lot. And I go, yeah. And there's other people going, hey, you're getting skinny. Now these people tend to have a little extra weight to them. And they're saying, hey, that doesn't look healthy. I'm like, there is a distinct difference between the two comments. You look fit, or you look like getting a little skinny. Like you're ill. Now, I guess with my illness and stuff like that, but I mean, I think I carry myself like I'm fit. So I'm thinking in my head, I go, wow, I'm building up this thing. Why are these people saying this? Why are they saying that? And then I'm thinking, wait a second, it doesn't fucking matter what anybody says. Hence, the title of the show will be Fuck That Noise. And when I'm talking about noise, I'm talking about those things in your head. When someone says something to you and you're at work and there's people that are dismissive. In the service industry, the people that try to talk down to you, not pay attention to you, be nonchalant, and we try to read into it sometimes. We don't know. That person could be deathly shy, right? Or socially inept, and they don't know what to say, and you only have a couple things they can say, right? You don't know. You don't know what that person's going through, but your brain and my brain will gladly come up with a scenario or a narrative. So when someone says to me, hey, you're looking skinny, I say, what are you thinking? I look unhealthy, I'm getting skinny. When I was much younger, I always wanted to be bigger, muscular. And right, I'm kind of, for my age, I'm pretty good. And, I'm about 220, 6'4". My waist, I'm a little bragging right there. I'm around 31-inch waist right now. But I'm really working hard on my core. I'm not trying to get six-pack abs. I'm just trying to balance out my abs and my back. I want my back to be strong. In order to have a strong back, I want to have a strong back. That's just the whole thing. And I know how I feel at the end of the day. So logic would say, doesn't matter what someone says. Matter of fact, one of the books I mentioned that I enjoy reading is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And one of them is take nothing personal. Don't take anything anybody does personal. Meaning that you don't know what's going through their head and all that stuff. You don't know what they're going through. So it just happened. Meaning they said that. There doesn't have to be any more meaning than that. And that's the good and the bad. Right? The good and the bad. So someone says something, we read a little too much into it. Guys, girls, they all do it when a young, attractive, if you're an older guy, a young, attractive girl says hello to you and is sweet and stuff like that. You're thinking, hey man, I think she's hitting on me. I think she's attracted to me. I may have a shot. Well, that's not necessarily true. It could be because you look like a favorite uncle. Or you look like the friendly neighbor next door. Or it could be just because she's a kind person. And she's always that way. She treats people like, I might as well treat everyone as if they're a friend, because otherwise, what's the use? That was a line from, I think it was I kind of paraphrased it, but it was from the movie Silverado by Kevin Kline. He was talking to Scott Glenn after he got jumped by some cowboys he trusted. That he's not going to, he doesn't want to be one of those guys that's just distrustful. You might as well just treat everyone as if you're friends. So that's what some people do. I kind of understand that and do that. I'm not always that way. Sometimes I'm wary of that, but I like that. But I digress once again. Whenever anybody says things, like your boss at work when they go and do something and they're trying to explain something to you, and they seem to be agitated, and they're telling you about something, and you may take it personally and say, this person is trying to read me the riot act because they're saying I do this, and they have to explain it. You're afraid. They're afraid sometimes when someone has to tell you something, they have to couch their comments because they're worried that they're going to insult you instead of just saying that. I mean, some people out there, hey, you're putting on a little weight, aren't you? Now, you might think that's a heartless comment. I think it's, something you shouldn't say. But in an ideal world, if you are putting on weight, you are putting on weight. You might as well just accept it. if you're that sensitive about it, you could try to do something about it. And not internalize everything. Like I did with that comment. I do all these things and I'm thinking in my head, when you're tired and you're weary and you're pissed off, you have a tendency, your brain has a tendency to just tell you things. It'd be happy to feel, it always fills in that blank space. When someone's something, your brain is a powerful, powerful thing. And remember the movie Sybil? The split personality disorder? Well, you have different, I think everyone has it. They have internal voices in their heads, internal voices. Just your brain is talking to you. There's a lot of shit going on your brain handles. It handles automatic stuff like heart beating, breathing, digestion. It does all this amazing stuff, and then it analyzes information. It just visually, your brain processing information is huge. It's huge. They haven't perfected that in self-driving cars yet, where anybody with half decent set of eyesight and all that stuff, they can see that the difference between a squirrel and a child on the street. You'll be able to discern that, or some piece of paper that blows out there and not. You are constantly in the process of processing information. And in the spare time, your brain is coming up with narratives of the conversations that you're having. Oh, what do they mean by that? Someone's talking to you. Last night, while I was working, it was 2 different times. Someone asked me, what do you like to be called? Jim, Jimmy, James? And I explained to him, I said, well, and I went, well, it really doesn't matter what someone calls me, right? But if I introduce myself as Jim, I like to be called Jim. And if someone calls me Jimmy, when my dad called me Jimmy, my sister called me Jimmy, I had friends in Philadelphia that called me that, but mostly they call me Jim or Jimbo. I did mention James. I used to like it when women call me James. I still like it when women call me James. I think it's sexy. It's kind of a turn on. James. And you say it the right way. I don't appreciate guys calling me James. But, it's in a formal situation, James, and call me James. But that's the thing about your head. You say, why the hell is this person calling me that? And I'm trying to practice that. I am not the perfect person. I am not, when I do this podcast, I am clearly admitting that I'm so far away from my ideal of what I'd like to be. But I know what I would like to be. How about that? That's a good thing to say. So, when someone says, I had someone call me Larry for the longest time. Hey, Larry. And a guy came up and says, how come you didn't correct me with Larry? I said, well, I've been called much worse than Larry. And they go, what? Like what? No, George. No, not Larry or George. I've been called asshole, shithead, motherfucker, all those things. I didn't throw those in just to keep my explicit thing on there, but I've been called those things. It's just one of those things. And then with the intent behind it, and a lot of times now as I get older, I realize, sometimes they're not calling me that. They're angry. And sometimes when someone doesn't like me automatically in the beginning, it's all right. It's all right. When I was younger, that really caused a lot of distress. A lot of distress when someone didn't like me. How can you not like me? I'm a nice guy. It kind of put my whole persona under attack. I felt as my persona was under attack. Well, it's if you want to look at it in a positive way, sometimes if you heard the old saying, it's not the quality of your friends that define the person, but the quality of your enemies. So if certain people dislike you, and they're not the kind of people you really want to be in, compromising positions with or being associated with, then that's actually a good thing. Not that you should actively seek to have nemesises out there. You shouldn't consciously seek them out. Opponents, antagonists, or protagonists. It's just the way it works out. But your head will tell you things, and so, well, why don't they like me? Why does she like me? And it's really creeps up, I think most deeply for me, is in my closest personal relationships, my friends, and, my romantic relationship with Abby, and my daughter, Sky. The way they talk to me, the way they think, my brain will fill in the blanks. Like, why are they doing this? Why are they treating me this way? And we take it personally. Take it personally. That's why we got to really be careful what we say to people sometimes. If you don't have anything good to say, you can say, I'm not at my best today. I am not at my best. There's a woman that comes to my spin class this week. I filled in for a couple, so nice. I got 3 spin classes I'm teaching, and I get to go and lift weights and all that stuff while I'm there. And she's a couple years older than Abby and I. I don't want to mention her name, but she's always been like a big fan. Always says the nicest, sweetest things. And sometimes I can't summon up the energy to match her energy. But she's always happy, always excited. And I try to think, you know what? I really appreciate you, and I'm going to make sure I mention it to Abby all the time. I said, when you run into her, tell her how much she means to us and all that stuff. And it's really a sweet woman. And at the point when it's a good thing, I guess, that I'm worried that I'm not able to match the positive energy all the time. Sometimes I come in, I'm just working to get by, meaning I'm not hungover or anything like that. You're just, the well is dry sometimes when you had your I don't know if it's serotonin or anything. You're not generally always gleeful. I'm generally, I have to say, in the middle to happy most of the time. In the middle meaning neither happy nor sad. And sometimes I get a little angst ridden. And that's when your brain, your brain piles up. When you say, someone smiles at you, you may read that a different way. Someone frowns at you, walks away from you, you read it. And sometimes it's great just to let it go. Just to let it go. Just not even worry about it. If it's not critical to you performing your function or why you're here today, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I try not to. There's some people that come in. I have to be the police officer sometimes. I have to put on the daddy pants. I say daddy pants, but it could be the mommy pants. But at work, where I have to say, no, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to get aggressive. I don't let people get aggressive. I try to nip it in the bud. I stop it at the shouting. Because, after the shouting, that's when sometimes comes a physical altercations before the shouting and stuff like that. But I have a tendency to try to nip it in the bud. I'm not saying, hey, look at me, I'm a great guy or anything like that. And it kind of pisses me off, too. And it's hard to get in that good mood after that, and get back to zero, I guess, where I'd like to be. Pretty happy. Because every moment is a new moment. Right? No matter how boring it is, the way I look at it, the thing about slow season, you see your regulars a lot more often because there's nobody new to counterbalance that. And you get new regulars. We got new regulars coming into town. We have this couple that comes in, and this guy, I guess his family's, there's a couple big sites named after his family in the area. There's some old families down here, not old like Boston old, from the late 1600s onwards, but from 100 years down here. People that families have been there for several generations. And I overheard them say, "Oh, yeah, this is so-and-so." And I said, "Oh." And they go, "How about you?" And I said, "Well," and I mentioned the name of the guy that actually created not really created all this, but really did the most to ensure the continued success of the Keys, and that was Flagler, the guy that built the railroad down here, and subsequently became the Overseas Highway. But there was a railroad built in the early part of the 20th century, started in the late part of the 19th century. So Flagler is one of the older ones down here, because Key Largo was just a small burg. I don't even know if they had a post office. They may have had a post office prior to the railroad. It was all Key West. There was Key West and a couple places in between, small settlements. But Key West was the largest town in the Florida Keys. And Flagler helped facilitate the development of the Keys by building the railroad down here. There probably wouldn't have been the movie Key Largo if it wasn't for Flagler, because there wouldn't have been hotels in Key Largo and something, or they would have developed later. Would have developed because they had the railroad and people take the railroad all the way down there. I'm getting off subject right here. I guess my ego was hurt when someone came, "Hey, I'm very important because my family's been down there for a while and they got a park named after them and all this stuff." And like, look at me, I'm important too. Well, so what? You already are important. Important. You're here. You're a consciousness that exists in the universe where there is a dearth of consciousness. Unless you're like in the panpsychism or something like that. But when I say a dearth, there's not a lot of consciousness going on in the galaxy, in the rest of the solar system. It's mainly Earth, unless someone, hidden underneath the moon, one of the moons of Jupiter, and maybe Europa or something like that. There's a secret society of aliens. There's not a lot of it all around. And I mean, if you take the universe as a whole, there could be a ton of it. But there's a lot of places where it isn't, too. So you're unique just by the virtue of being existent. Might as well make the most out of it. Making the most of it would be not to worry about the intentions of what people say or do around you. I mean, sometimes you have to act upon it. Meaning, if someone threatens you, you got to protect yourself, or file a restraining order or something like that. If someone wants to fire you, or if you're in a romantic relationship and their intention is to leave you, yes, you have to file that, stuff like that. But these other things that don't need actions, they preoccupy our time all the time. And I guess because we learn sometimes we didn't pay attention to things that were done or said, and it came around and bit us in the ass, and then we finally say, "I better pay attention to everything." Well, not everything is important. Not everything needs to be responded to, and have to. It's just the way it is. And I'm going to try to endeavor doing that this weekend. I do appreciate everyone for listening. If you like the show, please share it with your friends. I promise not to sing anymore. I know I may have done something very wrong by doing my attempt at my blues song, but what the fuck? It's my show. I could do it. But I do appreciate you for listening, and if you do like it, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's Keys Bartender on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Send me an email at jim@keysbartender.com if you have any comments. If you like the show, just say hello. Tell me where you're from, who you are. Okay? I am not doing the show so I can meet someone romantically. I'm sure you're a great person and things like that, but I'm already in a relationship, so there's no need for that. I do appreciate it. I do. I can like people as friends, but chances are I'm not going to change my relationship status because of some messages I get. And I get some messages every so often. Not too many. Not a ton of them. Maybe 30 years ago, if I started. 30 years ago, there wasn't even a venue for this, was there? Once again, thank you. If you like the show, share it with your friends, your family, and if you'd like to send me, like I said, I'm repeating myself, if you're in the Keys, come to the Catch Restaurant at mile marker 102, Oceanside. We're open Tuesday through Sunday. Sometimes we're closed on Mondays, sometimes not. I'm sorry to say that, but they're going to, because of labor. But I'm there a lot of times. And if you are coming down, you may want to drop me a message to say that you're coming down to jim@keysbartender.com and tell me that you're coming. Thank you very much and have a great day. I'm going to end with this music, which is much better than my blues singing. Bye.